Almost every prominent Democrat in Congress called for Anthony Weiner to resign in the past 2 weeks. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi even called for an ethics investigation into his behavior. And yet Republican leaders wanted you to think the Democratic Party was silent about the whole thing. Earlier this week, Republican Party Chairman Reince Priebus told CNN that leaders of the Democratic Party were defending Weiner. Congressman Darrell Issa, the Republicans' top investigator in the House, said last week that Weiner wouldn't resign because Democrats are held to a different standard. Let's remind Issa and Priebus about a lawmaker who did not resign. Republican Senator David Vitter of Louisiana, a family values guy who admitted in 2007 to being a regular customer of a prostitution service. Not only was there no investigation into Vitter's potential legal violations, he was applauded by Republicans the day he returned to work. Let's bring back the panel that was with us the night Congressman Weiner first admitted to his behavior over a week ago. Nationally syndicated radio talk show host Bill Press with us tonight, author of Toxic Talk. And I can tell you, Bill, it's still out there.
All right,
how the radical right is on the airways of America. And co-host of the Ring of Fire radio show, Mike Papantonio. And Shira Toeplitz, political reporter for Roll Call. Well, a lot of water has gone under the bridge in the last 10 days. And, Bill, I want to know, how has this unfolded in your opinion? Where are we tonight? And your thoughts on what has happened in the last 10 days.
Well, it's been a sad 10 days, let me tell you, for everybody. I'm glad to see the whole thing disappear, Ed. I couldn't agree with you more. I think Anthony Weiner, with all the wrong that he did today, he was a mensch, he was a class act, he resigned, he didn't force his wife to stand alongside of him, you know, like everybody else has. He didn't blame anybody else. He even thanked the colleagues that didn't stand by him. And I think we haven't, I agree with you, we have not seen the last of Anthony Weiner. You know, give him 5 years or whatever, get his family together, have that new baby, get his life back together, and I think we're going to see him in public service again someday. But you are so right. The fact that these Republicans, and Reince Priebus was the lead of it, who are out there, the first ones to demand that Anthony Weiner resign, and yet when they were asked the question, what about David Vitter, they didn't want to talk about him. Here's a guy who actually broke the law, who made calls lining up to prostitutes, which is illegal, even in Washington, D.C., I might add, made those calls from the floor of the United States Senate, Ed, and they gave him a standing ovation when he came back from Louisiana.
Shira, does this resignation by Congressman Weiner set a standard? Is this something that the public and also lawmakers are going to look back to someday? Because it sure seems the Republicans get a free pass from their party and their critics.
You know, I think it sets a standard in bad PR when it comes to these situations, if anything. I mean, if you look back to the David Vitter press conference, and even if we're going to compare these things to the Eliot Spitzer press conference, these guys did a presser. They left the stage 5 minutes, no questions. Okay, it looked much more like what Congressman, soon to be former Congressman Weiner did today, than what the mess that's ensued over the past couple weeks.
Well, Mike, where do you stand on this? There are some on Capitol Hill who are saying that this has been, nothing's been handled worse than this over the last 10 days.
Well, Ed, this does give you a picture of how dysfunctional the Democratic spin machine has become. Think about this. In 5 days, the right-wing spin machine had turned this whole story into a jaunt down memory lane about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. It reminded us about Barney Frank's ancient history. They turned the Weiner junk mail story into this story about the godless Democrats who can't be trusted with small children and damn farm animals, I suppose. They turned the ADD, attention deficit media. They turned their attention into stories about, away from the stories about their side. They told the story time and time again about how they're the party of family values, but they ignored the Larry Craig story when his roving foot went looking for love in a men's restroom at an airport, or Mark Foley, who solicited teenage page boys for man-boy sex in the halls of Congress. But I'll tell you something, Ed, the Republican right-wing spin machine took everybody's attention away from all that. That's why the Democrats had to have this story go away, because they don't have a spin machine. They don't know how to...
Bill Press, what do you think of that?
They don't know how to take facts like that.
No. I think Mike is really onto something. And look, you know, what they were able to do is because there were pictures, right? That's what brought Anthony Weiner down. There were no pictures of Larry Craig, no pictures of John Ensign, no pictures of Mark Sanford, and no pictures even of David Vitter, right? So they skated. And Anthony Weiner, who didn't break the law, look, I'm not defending what he did, but who did not break the law, did not even have sex, for God's sakes, he's brought down because of the pictures, and the Republicans were able to use that. So now, Ed, I think we got a new standard here.
I think we do.
If there's a new standard, then David Vitter has to resign tomorrow, and Republicans have to call for his resignation.
Shira,
and so does the President of the United States.
Shira, finally, is social media going to be used differently by congressional members now?
Oh, I think so. I think you'll see a lot of staff members talking to members of Congress about what really should be put out there on Twitter and what really shouldn't be. There are some members of Congress who are notorious or famous for using Twitter to comment on things not related to politics. Anthony Weiner was one of them until now. And I bet they're going to be thinking a little harder before they send out that tweet.
Throw it away.
Bill Press, Mike Papantonio, Shira Toeplitz, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Ed.